Darwin Nunez has come under the spotlight a bit more after another pretty ineffective performance. I mean, it feels like his XG this season actually he's not underperforming it too much, certainly compared to the last couple of seasons when he's been way underneath it. This season, he hasn't scored many goals, but the XG suggests he hasn't been expected to score too many goals. For me, though, the eye test, if you're a top-class striker, that much money, you should be scoring that one he had in the first half, when the keeper makes a good save, but a top-class striker has got to be scoring that. And it just feels to me a little bit like time is running out for him to take these chances because, he's had a run in the team now. Jota's out. You've got to think Jota, now that he's coming close back to fitness, is going to come back into the team, given Nunez's performance. It just feels like this season could be make or break, and at the moment it's leaning towards break for me.
Yeah, to be honest, my personal feel on it is that it's essentially settled now. I just don't think there's a debate there really around Nunez. I think, one of his big selling points initially was he gets a lot of shot volume and that will essentially turn into goals. If you give him time, yes, he misses some, but he's always going to score some as well because he gets that shot volume. But now with the way Slot uses his strikers, that's not happening. So he doesn't really have an awful lot of upside because if he doesn't get high shot volume, he's not going to get a lot of goals because he's not a ruthless finisher as he showed in that game. So like I say, there's not an awful lot of upside to him. I think one thing I think Liverpool supporters maybe have to kind of reconcile themselves to is the idea that, that this is how it is now. And if you don't place too high expectations on him, he can do a job this season. I mean, he's been a big part of this ridiculous winning run that Liverpool have been on. Jota's been out for a long time. He's played an awful lot of games. And yes, he's not contributing hugely in terms of goals and assists, but his work rate's been decent. He's been pressing. He's been getting the ball up the pitch nicely. But I think what we've seen in the last two games is his build-up has just dropped off a cliff. Yeah, I mean, he completes 4 out of 8 passes yesterday. He was similarly poor against Newcastle. So that's when, and then obviously then missing chances in the game yesterday. That's when he starts to become detrimental to the team. But I still think, at the end of the day, I think the decision's essentially made there. I really do wholeheartedly expect that he will leave Liverpool at the end of this season. But the job for him now is to be a good second choice striker for the remainder of the season, which is to come in the games where Jota can't start, and be that version of himself that he's not been in the last 2 games, but in the games prior to that. Liverpool don't need him to score 100 goals. They don't need him to be the main man. They just need him to come in and be competent in build-up and help them get up the pitch and do all the good things he's been doing in pressing. And if you get that out of your second choice striker between now and the end of the season, that could be enough to get you over the line in the big trophies. And because it gives Jota a rest, it allows that is kind of the most important thing, is looking after him really and protecting him from injury. So I just think the die's cast now. I think Nunez is what he is. We're 2.5 seasons in now. It hasn't lived up to expectations. So the job is now to get the best out of him that you can between now and the end of the season. And then he will leave and I'm sure he'll find somewhere else where he's kind of, fits better and more appreciated, and maybe somewhere that's more kind of his level. And it's not been a very good signing. But as I say, it's just important now to refocus on what he can do and what he can contribute between now and May.
Yeah, only 16 touches against Girona. I mean, he remains very popular amongst certainly the match-going fans. They chant his name every game. They can see the work ethic he has and the hard work he puts in. But yeah, I think I'm in agreement with you. I think it's just got to that stage now where he's just, unless he goes on a mad goal-scoring run, which we haven't really seen any signs of between now and the end of the season, yeah, it's hard to see how he suddenly transforms himself into a successful signing.